Welcome back to Dream Drop Stories. In the quiet of New York City, long after everyone had gone to sleep, Spider-Man found himself perched atop a rooftop, swinging his legs back and forth as he gazed up at the twinkling stars. It was a rare night when he didn't have any bad guys to fight or alarms to race to, so he took a moment to appreciate the beauty of the starlit sky. As he looked down over the city, he saw something that made him smile. In the nearby park, several children were gathered around a large pond, each holding a small floating lantern that glowed with a soft, steady light. It looked like so many fallen stars had come down to rest in the water, and as he watched, he saw the children release their lanterns one by one, each one floating away silently into the dark. Curious about what was going on, Spider-Man decided to swing down and take a closer look. As he got closer, he heard a little girl say, "This one's for my grandpa. He always said stars carry wishes." Intrigued, Spider-Man landed softly on a branch nearby and watched as the children released their lanterns onto the pond. When it was just her, a little girl with sparkling eyes and long flowing hair turned to the last lantern in her hand and whispered, "This one's for my grandpa. He always said stars carry wishes." With a gentle smile, Spider-Man couldn't resist. He leaned in just a little bit closer and asked, "Can I help light the last one?" The girl turned around and gasped when she saw the friendly face of Sure, she said, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. "It's stuck," she added quickly, pointing to the lantern, which was hanging high up in a nearby tree. Without hesitation, Spider-Man swung into action, shooting a line from his wrist and climbing up the tree with ease. He reached out and grabbed the lantern before making his way back down. "Got it?" he whispered, landing softly next to the girl. Together, they walked to the edge of the pond, and she handed him the lantern. As they placed it on the water, a sudden gust of wind blew through the park, snuffing out every single light. The children gasped in sadness, their faces reflecting the dim glow of the streetlights. Mia looked down at the extinguished lanterns floating on the water. "Now Grandpa won't see them," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. Spider-Man felt a pang of sympathy for the girl. He knew how much it meant to her to fulfill this wish for her grandpa, and he hated that some random gust of wind had blown through and ruined everything. But instead of simply apologizing and letting the kids deal with the situation, Spider-Man stayed back. He looked around, trying to think of a solution. He remembered seeing a bunch of old, rusty lampposts scattered throughout the park, and an idea began to form in his mind. With renewed determination, Spider-Man shot off, swinging from building to building, until he reached the other side of the park where the lampposts stood like silent sentinels in the darkness. Using his super strength, Spider-Man began to climb, hauling himself up one post after another, reaching out and turning on every single light he passed. One by one, the lampposts flickered to life, casting a warm glow over the park below. But there were still too many bare branches and empty spaces. Spider-Man needed to find more ways to bring light back into the darkness. That's when he spotted a group of trees with thick, sturdy branches stretching out towards the ground. An idea sparked in his mind. He carefully unrolled a length of webbing from his wrist, securing one end to a nearby lamppost. Then, using his free hand, he began to weave intricate patterns, attaching small bits of webbing to the end of each loop, creating makeshift mini lights that twinkled like stars. He hung them from every branch he could reach, transforming the trees into shimmering constellations against the dark backdrop of the night sky. But there was still something missing, a way to tie all of these lights together and make them even more magical. Suddenly, Spider-Man spotted some colorful flowers growing near the base of the trees. Quickly, he plucked a handful of petals, dipped them into his webbing and pressed them against the remaining bare branches, creating beautiful glowing flowers that glowed with a soft, ethereal light. As he stepped back to admire his work, Spider-Man couldn't help but smile. The entire park was now aglow with twinkling lights, shimmering trees, and glowing flowers, creating a magical atmosphere that rivaled the stars themselves. Just then, Mia and the other children approached, their eyes wide with wonder. "Wow, it's beautiful," one of the boys breathed, his voice filled with awe. "It's like the stars came down," Mia whispered, her earlier sadness forgotten as she gazed up at the twinkling lights. "Thank you, Spider-Man," she said, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You made my grandpa's wish come true." Spider-Man felt a warmth spread through his chest. He loved being Spider-Man, and helping people was the best part of the job. Seeing the joy on the children's faces made him feel good, knowing that he'd brought a little bit of magic into their lives. As the first rays of sunlight began to peek over the horizon, signaling the start of a brand new day, he swung down from the trees, landing softly on the ground in front of the children. "I'm glad you all could make your wishes tonight," he said with a wink. "Remember, even the smallest light can chase away the darkness." With that, he turned and disappeared into the morning mist, leaving behind the echoes of his words and the twinkling lights of the Wishing Star Park. The children stood in the magical park for a long time, their eyes shining with wonder as they pointed out their favorite lights and made new wishes. The memory of Spider-Man's visits and the magic he'd brought into their lives would stay with them forever. And that's our story for tonight. Dream Dropers. Every day can feel like a long, dark night sometimes, but even the smallest act of kindness can be a guiding light. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed this bedtime story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe for more Dream Drop adventures and turn on notifications so you never miss an exciting episode. Before we go, let's review the important things you learned in this story. What did Spider-Man do for the children in the park? He helped them make their wishes come true by lighting up the park with mini lights and glowing flowers. How did he make the park magical? By using his webbing, flowers, and a bunch of old lampposts. He created a galaxy of twinkling lights that chased away the darkness. Why was it important for him to help these kids? Because he believed that even the smallest light can chase away the darkness. Great job listening and learning. Dream. Now it's time for bed. Close your eyes, count to 10, and when you open them again, you'll be back home with your very own magical galaxy full of dreams. Sweet dreams, Dream Dropers. See you next time.